It isn't that we don't love your father.
You're kicking him out, aren't you?
Where do we sign? You know, Dad, I really think you're gonna love this place. They got everything you want.
If it's so great, you go there.
So now you're what, a van driver?
That's just temporary till I get my feet on the ground.
You sure you're up for this? Mr. Byrd's an important patient. We can't afford any mishaps.
You can count on me, sir.
No, Harry, no!
Listen, we'll help you out.
Thank you.
Come on, girls, let's help this guy.
Thank you all. You're strippers?
Not strippers, burlesque artists, baby. We're going to the Twin Pines Casino. We are the closing act.
Hubba! Drive.
This is completely unacceptable. Don't touch me.
That's not very neighborly. Now you need to apologize to the nice ladies.
Let's get this show on the road. I don't have all day.
Whoa, this is exciting.
Ever been to Olin Poly? So some of the best sunsets of my life there. I'd really like to go there just one more time. Life is too damn short not to do what you really want. Just live.
Okay.
Jackpot!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cherry the Geek TV. My name's Joe Vanourney, and today we are joined by one of the greatest character actors. He's just great. You'll know his face, you'll know his voice. His resume is quite extensive, ranging from everything from Born on the 4th of July, Dead Man Walking, Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox Story, as well as a lot of big TV roles, including the role of Arlo Givens on FX's Justified. And he's the star of the new movie Free Byrd, which is coming out on digital, HD, and video on demand on April 1st. It's Raymond J. Barry. How are you? Welcome, and thanks for talking with us today.
I love it when you call me a star at age 82.
Well, you worked for that. We're gonna get into your career, man. You are like I have a lot of questions for you because your career is extensive. But let's start off talking about your new movie, Free Byrd. Tell people the story. What can they expect going into Free Byrd? What's this film about?
Well, it's about an old guy, me, who hooks up with 4 beautiful women, and they go on a ride together and have the most amusing, fun time that you can imagine. It's like the last hurrah of this guy's life. And they feel safe with him because he's not on the make. He's just enjoying their company. And also, I think it's kind of a return to his youth. The humor and the vitality of the women with whom he goes on this journey is rejuvenating, stimulating, and kind of reminds him of what life is if you make it that way. You know, you gotta put a little effort into it to make your later years have meaning. Who's this?
Oh, Harry, meet my friends. Red,
Hi, baby.
Iris,
Hello.
Blossom,
Nice to meet you.
and
Gemini.
Nice name.
Namaste.
so, ladies, thank you so much. You saved my ass. Now, I hate to run, but I got a 23 Skidoo.
And I certainly know that in my own case, because you know, if I'm not acting with this kind of, I was working until the pandemic came steadily, and I have something to do. I paint, and I'm writing a novel, and I have an anthology of plays, of 8 plays in a book called Mother, Son, and Other Plays. I've performed all of them. Point being, I'm not dependent upon getting jobs which is something about that is very liberating. You know, I'm not waiting by the telephone hoping somebody's going to give me a call. Someone like you.
You've been keeping busy. That's good. It's
Yeah.
the year.
And I got 4 kids, you know, one of whom is 12 years old. I got to get them all through college.
I hear you.
You know?
So you talked about the girls in the film, but that's not the only one that you're on the road trip with. You've got the character
Randy.
of Jay Butler, played by Randy. Is it Nazarian?
Yeah, Nazarian.
Nazarian.
Yeah, right.
And that relationship explores the themes. There's a father son conflicts with both characters. You're not each other's father's sons. You have your conflicts with your children. He's got his conflicts with his father, who has recently passed away, and he's put in charge of you before you meet the girls. His job is to transport you, and so it becomes as kind of a road trip buddy comedy with the girls, and you explore the themes of fathers and sons and their conflicts, and by the end of the journey, you've each enriched each other's lives.
Exactly.
Right. What was it about this particular film and this particular character of Harry Byrd intrigued you and wanted to make you take this role? How'd you get involved? What's that?
The women.
The women? That was it, huh? You see the women, you're like, I'm in, sign me up.
Now, listen, having said that, I say that glibly. I've been married for 31 years, and we have 4 kids. So I got a good marriage, and I love it, you know. So it's not like I was looking for adventure of another kind when I was shooting the film. I just enjoyed the personalities of the 4 girls who were playing the roles. They were all great, you know, funny. They knew I wasn't after them, so we felt relaxed. You know, there was no tension, and they were funny, and I know they liked me. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, let's shoot a movie. Let's be movie stars for 5 minutes, right?
Right.
It was cool. It was really nice.
One of the things I really loved about the film was your relationship with Randy's character, Jay. It felt very authentic. Both you and Randy's acting was very real, authentic, sincere. There's a sincerity in the performances, and that's one of the things that really connected to me as a viewer watching it. Sometimes that does, when you see that connection on screen, there's preparation that goes into that. You got, like, some actors hang out with each other before shooting for weeks and develop a friendship. Sometimes you develop that as you're filming. What was the process with you and Randy, and how did you guys form that connection? Because it's wonderful to watch on screen.
23 years of stage in New York and 60 years of acting was my preparation. I've gotten to the point where when I show up at a job, I make it up as it goes along. And that's one ingredient. I don't pre-plan. I don't get it all set in my mind about what's going to happen. But I do know my lines precisely. And there's no hesitation about saying the words because I've drilled the words over and over and over and over. So now, having said, those are the 2 main ingredients, experience and knowing the dialogue. I don't paraphrase. You can't do that with Shakespeare. I learned that in New York. You know, you what am I going to make up Shakespeare? Give me a break. You know, even Sam Shepard. I did the original. I forget the name of the play. But you know, you do Sam Shepard. You got to say his words. He's an American icon. You can't make it up. You could probably fake it if you wanted to paraphrase, but that's not good. And I carry it over into film work where sometimes you show up, guys don't know their words because they think they can do anything. Well, whatever. We were both prepared, and Randy's a great guy. He's a good actor. We just didn't know each other, and we got to know each other as we shot. And what we did in the beginning was to pretend.
Okay.
That's what acting
You guys
is.
didn't, how long had you was it between the time you met each other and started rolling on day one? Was there any time at all? Like, did you get to
2
know each other?
hours.
2 hours. All right. That's impressive, man. Cause that relationship really comes
Yeah.
across like,
I mean, we both appreciated the gig, and we were happy. So we just started acting. I mean, you know, it's like playing a basketball game. If you've played for a long time, you know how to dribble.
yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, I want to talk about your career because I'm fascinated with both the longevity of it and how expansive and comprehensive it is in terms of different genres and roles. What are the roles that you get most recognized for? Like if you're walking down the street pre-COVID and people are coming up to you, hey, you're that guy. What are the roles that they point at and say, you're that guy from what?
Dead Man Walking, Tim Robbins movie with Susan Sarandon. Born on the 4th of July, I played Tom Cruise's father. Oliver Stone directed it. Obviously a great, you know, it was a great film. I did a movie where I played the alleged second gunman who shot President Kennedy. Forgetting the title.
Interview with the Assassin.
Interview with the Assassin. Yeah. People recognize me from that. You know, oh, you're the killer. You know, it's funny. In New York, I became a member of a famous company called the Open Theater, directed by really a brilliant director, a guy named Joseph Chaikin. He's dead now. But that company performed in Iran, Algeria, Paris, London, New York, every city in the United States, Canada. And I had a lot of exposure from doing that. And later on, when I began to do movies, people would make the connection. Oh, I saw the Open Theater in 1972. You know, you were in that. I remember you. You played Kane, blah, 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 you know. In terms of theater, I did about 25 plays at the Public Theater, Joe Papp's place in New York. So I did a lot of theater, you know, as I mentioned before, I was in New York for 23 years. And the Open Theater was certainly a vanguard of avant-garde theater. And we did great plays. So, you know, then I came out to California when I was 44 years old, on the cusp of being cast in a Michael Cimino film called Year of the Dragon with Mickey Rourke. I played his boss and his best friend. And Oliver Stone wrote that script. So he cast me in Born on the 4th of July right after. And I gained momentum immediately when I came out here. I never stopped working. And it's been kind of cool because I had to send 3 kids through college.
Yeah.
So, you know, they got through debt free. They don't owe any money. We're talking a lot of money, man, you know.
Yeah.
Also, I taught the 2 boys how to play basketball, so they got partial scholarships.
Oh, that's cool. So they're basketball players. You started out as a football player. You weren't an actor or looking at acting as a career at first. You were an athlete, football player. from what I've read in your background, you didn't talk a lot. You were a shy kid. What was it for a shy kid who's a football player? How did that transition into stage acting?
When I was at Brown University, that's true. I did not communicate readily, easily. I was a bit shy. But as you mentioned, I was a football player, and a professor came up to me. His name is Jim Barnhill. And he asked me if I would possibly play the part of Hal in William Inge's play Picnic. And I said, "Are you kidding me? I don't know how to do that. What do I'm not." He said, "Well, come down to my class." So I came to see his class, and I liked it. I did the play. I wasn't very skillful. I was kind of awful in the part, but I got interested, and I did another play after that, and another play after that. I had 3 semesters left. And the same guy got me into Yale Drama School after I graduated from Brown. And I didn't graduate from Yale. I just stayed there for a year. It's a 3-year program for a master's, but I stayed for a year. I ran out of money. I was afraid of the debt. And also I had studied a little bit with William Hickey in New York. So I figured I'd go to Herbert Berghoff and study more and pick up some work and blah. I was at the beginning of my career. It was pretty difficult. But, I'll tell you something interesting. When I was in college, a senior, Milt Pepple was a backfield coach on the football team, and he recommended me to Babe Pirelli, with whom he had played football at Notre Dame and was an All-American. And Babe Pirelli at that time was coaching the Boston Patriots. Long story short, they drafted me. And in 3 days, I got drafted by the Patriots and accepted at Yale Drama School. So
you had to choose.
I had to make a choice. Went to Yale.
Do you ever look back and wonder what life would have been like had you chosen that other path? Or you're very happy?
Yeah, I think about it.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you something. Football is one of these games you can't play. You got to be fully committed. And I was no longer fully committed. That game hurts physically. And by that time, I wanted to be an actor, and you can't do that. You can't play football half-assed and then say, "Well, I really want to be an actor." Bullshit. You got to really want to be a football player to play on that level. And I knew that. I didn't want to do it anymore. Whatever.
So you went from drama school into the world of acting on stage. You say you did this for over 20 years. This leads, and you had some small roles in films up until Year of the Dragon, line here, a little small part here. Then you get hired. Michael Cimino hires you for Year of the Dragon. That's your biggest part. That's kind of your big break.
Up to that point.
He's notorious for being a director who's very meticulous. He shoots scenes, he sets up scenes, he takes time setting up scenes. He's very over concentrates on things. This is your first big role. Did that, at any point when you were making that movie, were you thinking to yourself, "Oh my gosh, is this what?" Did you recognize at the time that he's a little different than the average director as far as how he makes movies, and that's not the norm?
Michael knew. I had done one reasonably large role in a Joan Micklin Silver movie called Between the Lines, and that was the extent of my film experience. Michael knew that, and his body language, like, for example, before I would go in front of a camera and shoot, he would pat me on the back. And I felt a body language from him that he felt confidence in me. He knew I was going to do well, and I did. And it was partly because the signals he was giving me was total, unequivocal support. And I so appreciated it because I was green. I was inexperienced doing film. I was a bit intimidated by it. And Michael was the perfect director for me personally. He was a perfectionist, but he knew how to get the goods out of me. And he did it with love, and I don't mean to exaggerate that, but he did it in a very subtle kind of way. Just, he'd put his hand on my shoulder and I felt that kind of support, and it was a good movie, and I did okay in it.
You did. And that movie is written by Oliver Stone, and based on that, he cast you as Ron Kovic's, Tom Cruise's father in Born on the 4th of July, which went on to great success, nominated for Academy Awards, and that was a big, also
I have one scene in that movie where Tom Cruise comes home paralyzed, and I'm his father, and I'm very proud of that scene. I don't have a lot of words, but I break down, I start crying, and I can hardly talk. And I made up a few lines, and my voice is like all cracking and everything. And I did it over and over again. I didn't do it just once. We shot that thing for 2 hours, maybe even more. And that's one scene in my whole career that I am proud of, and also the character is very vulnerable. And usually I'm cast as a kind of hard guy or something, intimidating, or the boss, or the head of a gang or something, not all the time. I'm like Dead Man Walking. My kid was killed, not all the time. There are some people, some directors who see something else in me, and I always appreciate that, because there was a period of time where I was playing these kind of impervious, insensitive gangster types, or bosses who just, it was like, enough already. There's something else going on here too,
Dead Man Walking, I think, is my personal favorite performance of yours. I think you're just wonderful in that, you're so good. You're so good. Do you have any memories, any stories from Dead Man Walking, working with Susan Sarandon and Tim Robbins?
I was surrounded by these movie stars, and I'm like, I better get my stuff together here, Sean Penn, Tim Robbins, Susan Sarandon, and it's a major role. And, I was a little nervous beforehand. I worked hard on it. I did a lot of stuff beforehand, and, I made sure I was on top of the material and so on and so forth. Part of it is when you really care. It makes a difference when you care. And how many things does a person care about? Their children, your wife, trying to, be a decent guy to people. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like, if you care about your work, boy, does that make a difference. And that's why I love acting, man, because I care. How many things am I going to care about? I care about acting, I care about painting, and I care about writing, period. And my kids and my wife. Now that makes you want to live.
Now you've had an eclectic filmography. You've mentioned that you played a lot of sinister type guys, angry boss type guys. you've had the dramatic roles, you've had the comedic roles in like Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, and great comedic performance, and You're the Worst, and
Oh, right.
so you've
Yeah.
done some good, great comedy stuff. As an actor, is there a type of role that you prefer more than the others? Do you prefer straight dramatic, or do you like playing sinister guys, or do you like the variety?
My favorite role of all time is a role which I wrote. I did 400 performances of a play called Once in Doubt. At some juncture, maybe when I was about 50, I started writing plays and performing them. The character in Once in Doubt is an artist. And that's obviously what I wanted to play. And I played him 400 times. The play is published. I have an anthology of plays called Mother's Son and Other Plays. I started on a journey of writing my own characters precisely because of what you're mentioning. I was being cast with some exceptions, nice exceptions, like Dead Man Walking and Born on the 4th, but the sinister type. And I said, okay, I'll do that, and I can do it well. Dead Man Walking, no, not Dead Man Walking. Interview with the Assassin, the guy who shot President Kennedy. That was perfect. I know how to do that with my eyes closed. But I started writing these plays, and they were in direct connection with what I'm about. And, I paint. The lead character in Once in Doubt is a painter. He's an artist. I very often I'm cast as somebody who's physically imposing. I put a fat stomach on me for a play I wrote called Back When, Back Then, where I played somebody who just wanted to eat, just ate and ate and ate. And I made myself fat, which contradicted my usual physical presence. I wanted to be somebody falling apart physically. So, I challenged all of that. It's a wonderful opportunity to be able to write your own stuff and get it published.
Yeah.
And have theaters available to you where you can just go and just do it for 4 weeks or 6 weeks. I have theaters in New York that'll do my work anytime. Theater for New City, La Mama, even the public theater, when Joe Papp was there, he would do my work, but he died, unfortunately. Too many of my folks are dying. And I'm sorry about that, but what are you going to do?
Right.
So
this kind of leads into something I was going to ask you. If you had to pick 3 of your roles, it could be on stage. You just talked about this, so that's probably one of your answers. 3 roles, either on stage or on film or on television, that you would say, this is what defines me as an actor. This is what I want to be remembered for. This encapsulates what I can do in front of a camera or on stage. What are those 3 that you would personally pick as your examples?
The character of Harry in Once in Doubt, which I wrote. Laertes in Hamlet, which I did with Geraldine Page and Rip Torn. Rip played Hamlet. Geraldine Page played Gertrude. I played Laertes. I loved it. He was in love with, and also very vulnerable, very, very fragile. And the third character I would pick would be what? The one with Susan Sarandon, where my boy was murdered
for Dead Man Walking?
What is it called?
For Dead Man Walking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, exactly. You have to forgive me. I'm old. I forget everything.
No worries, no worries. Okay, so then I'm going to spin off that question. This is a similar type question, but and it might be some of the same answers. If you had to go and pick 3 of your favorite moments in your career, it could be working with a certain director, it could be getting to work with a certain actor, it could be because of this thing I did, I got to meet the president or meet the Queen of England. You know, what are 3 of your favorite moments from your career that you look back on and say these are the highlights?
When I was shooting Born on the 4th of July, I had a scene where I had one line. And I forget exactly what the scene was. But Oliver came up to me and he said, "What were you doing? You didn't do anything. What the heck are you doing, man?" And I'm crushed. And I said, "Well, Oliver, I only have one line. I mean, what? It's not that. I mean, what do you mean?" He said, "Geez, man, I thought you were more of an actor than that." So what I don't know is outside, it's raining, and we got to change the schedule. And we're going to change the schedule to the scene where Tom Cruise comes home paralyzed. Obviously, a very sensitive scene.
Right.
Well, Oliver has destroyed my confidence. And I'm going to shoot this scene. And I'm like completely vulnerable. Well, it was perfect for the scene. We shot that scene for like 2 hours, 4 hours. I don't know how long. Every time I was so sensitive and, you know, I crying and messed up, you know. It was perfect. I even made up lines. I didn't give a damn anymore. I felt the hell, and that was part of it too. Like, shit, man, you know, I did the best I could. I had one line. You're complaining to me. I felt the hell with it, but that made me more open. I wasn't like trying to prove myself anymore. I was just feeling what I was feeling. That was one of, and today I look at that scene, you know, well, whatever. I think it's a great scene. It's because I was so incredibly upset. Well, it was perfect because what are you going to do when you got your own kid is paralyzed from the waist down for the rest of his life?
Yeah, he tricked you into getting what he wanted as a director.
After we finish shooting, he comes up to me and he gives me a big hug. He says, "That was great." And I look at him and it's like, I said to him, "You know what you were doing, didn't you?" And he smiled and walked away. He's a sly one.
Any other favorite moments from your life in film or stage?
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, my favorite moments. Gosh. Yeah. Oh gosh.
Put you on the spot.
You know, here's one.
Okay.
When I was doing Justified, I had a scene where I took a baseball bat and I beat the shit out of a couple of guys in Justified, and they were bad guys, and I was playing kind of a heavy Arlo, and they were all padded up, so I could really hit their bodies. And I look at that scene, and when I did it, we shot it once because it was so dangerous. One time, it was done perfectly. And I look at that scene today, and it's really good. If you believe it, because I didn't swing as hard as I could, but it looks like I'm really swinging a baseball bat and knocking the hell out of these guys. And I have words, and it's now I realize it's a very simplistic kind of situation. It's not as subtle as what I was describing to you before, but I'm proud of it because I did it without hesitation. I knew the words letter perfect. He shot it one time. He was like, yay, after we finished it. I like to make people happy,
Right.
like I don't waste anybody's time. Let's get this done. We'll do it in a half hour. Bang, bang, bang. I love that. But to do that, you got to work.
So with Justified, that's the one. That's another great performance of yours. I think that's one of your highlights.
Thank you.
That's an exception to the normal way things work. When you're on stage, you have a script. It's a 2 hour, 2 to 3 hour performance. You know what the whole thing is going into it. With a film, you've got your film script. You know the story before you start shooting, and you know where it's going. Justified, you're playing the same character over a 5-year period, over 20 episodes over a 5-year period. You don't necessarily know what the arc is going to be for that character when you go into it. So this is a different experience for you, where you're going in, you're playing a character that changes and evolves over time. What was that experience compared to what had come before?
By that time, I had done a number of regular roles on TV. So I knew what the game was, and I know not to worry about what's going to happen in the future. I take care of what's going on now. And I never run up to the writers and say, why don't you do this? Why don't you write this? I don't do any of that. I just do what they give me, I'm losing track of where I'm headed with this. Forgive me.
No worries.
Forgive me.
You're forgiven.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah. I've done a lot of TV, man, and I'm used to it. It's not hazardous for me. Not, as a matter of fact, I don't care about not knowing what's going to happen in the future, because that's the way I approach it. I learn the words. I walk on set. I look at the other actor, and I figure it out then. I don't have it all geared up in my mind. This has to happen, that has to happen. I don't contrive performances. I try to live in the moment as much as possible and let the scene surprise me. And that's what I've learned over the decades. Don't contrive. Find out when the camera is rolling. Discover the scene when the camera is rolling. Look at the guy's eyes or the woman's eyes. Take it from them and know the words and figure it out right there in the present moment, as opposed to, phoning in some memorized performance that is not alive.
All right. So we're running out of time. I have one final question for you. This is the most important question. I saved this one for last. So you hear many stories from people that work in Hollywood on movies and TV shows that once the film's wrapped, they take home a prop from the set. They take home some of the wardrobe from the set. There's a scene in your new movie, Byrd, where you and Randy are doing stand-up comedy, and you come out on stage and you're wearing these matching ugly plaid jacket, shirt, pants. The pants don't match the jacket doesn't match the shirt doesn't match the tie. Be honest with me, Raymond J. Barry. Did you steal that wardrobe?
No.
All right. Darn. I was hoping to get a scoop.
No, I didn't.
All right. Well, Byrd is coming out April 1st on video on demand and digital HD. It's a wonderful buddy road trip comedy about fathers and sons, and it's sweet and it's got girls. The girls can't
Beautiful
mention the
girls.
beautiful girls.
Yeah.
Raymond, thank you so much for talking with us today. I can't begin to tell you, I've been a big fan of yours for decades, and it's just an honor to talk to you.
Thank you.